It's raining. I don't like the rain. Back in the garage today. After that last video, I got a lot of great feedback from people, which I really appreciate. So I have a newfound motivation to get this thing done. We have approximately, precisely about 1 month and like 3 days maybe, I don't remember, 3-4 days, till Clean Culture, South Florida. I would like the car to be one color then, so I can crash into my friends and ruin it. But for that 30 minutes that it shows up before we start drifting, one color. So we're working on it in the garage. Let's get to it. All right, so last time you saw this car, we were pulling on the metal down here using the winch. And I had talked about it a little bit in that video that I don't know why I just didn't want to cut any more of this metal. That was stupid. I started to sand this down, test fit the panel, test fit the glass piece that I had, and realized how far sunk in this is and how much Bondo I'm going to need to stack up here. That's dumb. I'm going to cut this right now and see if I can pull this out anymore. We're going to scrap that Bondo work that I already did. Doesn't matter. This is the line that I have assumed. I think that's where the over is going to sit. And we will see. Okay, so I got the body saw. We have the body. And hopefully this blade's good enough because it's a pain in the ass to change it out and I don't feel like doing that. But let's give it a go. Safety first. It's kind of a problem, huh? Angle grinders are simultaneously one of my favorite and most hated tools. They do great jobs. I hate having to use them. So cue the montage here of me trying absolutely anything I can think of to see what sticks. I started off trying to kind of hammer it with that pry bar from behind because I couldn't get a full hammer in there. I ended up cutting off a little bit more metal so that way I could reach further with the pair of pliers that I had and try this big freaking pipe wrench that I had to think that I could bend the metal with that. Really, there was this crease that had created right below where the window frame sits from where it got hit, and I'm just trying to pull that out best I can after clearing off the Bondo. So by this point, I've gone through a little bit of trial and error, probably for an hour or two, and I found a process that I really seem to like. So this hammer and dolly that I think they sell in kits for metalwork, honestly, my dad gave me a set. I was using that to hold underneath the metal, or behind the metal rather, and using the hammer on top to shape it. And occasionally I would use a pair of pliers to try to force the bend in the metal where I thought it would work a little bit better than just using the dolly behind it. I'd say it worked pretty well and came out better than just using Bondo to lift up that spot, and overall I'm pretty happy with the result. So I'm not sure just how good this is going to come out to you guys, but this line has been basically brought back. Like, I could definitely still stand to put some Bondo on it or something. Honestly, might not even be necessary just for how close the window is going to look. I'll show you in a second after I go ahead and cut off those tabs, so that way I can finally put the over fender on and really properly test fit it all. Even though it doesn't have the full trim, I think it'll give us a good idea of what it should look like, and it'll also let the over start to kind of fit the shape that it needs to. I think it's been warping while it's sitting in the garage. When the lights go out, I want to watch the way you take the stage by storm. The way you wrap those boys around your finger. You want to play the leader, 'cause you know it's what you're good at. Just try your best. Try everything you can. Don't you worry what they're saying. Honestly, in all of that pulling that I did down there, I think I made it worse, but it's too late for that, so we don't really care. It's that one's gonna get bonded. We're moving on with our lives. All right, so I think for today, where I'm leaving this is, I kind of test fit it up. You can tell it does not fit great. I don't know why. When I first test fit this, I remember it fitting significantly better. So my suspicion is that I let it kind of sit on top of the hood or on top of the back of the car for a little bit when I had like taken it off for certain reasons. I'm thinking that it kind of worked. So it's hot as hell in this garage all the time. I could heat it up and try to like get it to do its own thing, but I'm gonna just let it happen naturally. I kind of been in the garage for like 4 or 5 hours at this point just trying to get this line correct. So I could use a break, and we'll come back tomorrow and see what it looks like. If I need to, I can definitely, take the heat gun to it. But if it can kind of just start to, I have like a lot of tension on it right now. If it can get to that point where it's not under any tension, and then, I can slowly kind of get it to shape more correctly. I really remember a lot of this fitting better. So hopefully that's the case, and I don't have to trim it too much or anything. But, we'll see. We'll see where we get with it. If I can fit a little bit better. All right, so we're back in the garage. Had a couple things to do after work today, so don't have too much time to spend on it before bedtime. But we let the car sit overnight with the over fender taped up. Let's check out how it did here. All right, so like I said, we taped up the over fender yesterday. It's not the ideal fitment. Honestly, even compared to how I had first mocked it up when I received these in the mail. So I will say, even just overnight, it seems like there's a lot less tension on the tape. Some spots definitely more than others. I went ahead and removed the tape off of the quarter panel here. And one thing I noticed is that it definitely did seem to kind of more adapt to the shape of the car in the day that I left it. But there is still some limitations that we're going to have. I can definitely see where it started to take the shape of the car down here, and overall there was just a lot less tension. This is going to have to get trimmed so that way my wheel can clear it, especially under compression. Otherwise, this is going to get destroyed anyways. So I think once this comes out, I'll have a lot more flexibility with how much I can move this and kind of mount it at the bottom here. And at the bottom, I'm going to end up just doing a rib nut on the sides anyway, so it doesn't really need to wrap around. And I think this is really just for structural rigidity when they make it and ship it. So we'll look at that in the future. But for now, let's get this stuff covered up. So as I went to go clean up the metal on this quarter glass right here, I reached for my right angle die grinder, and we have a cutoff disc on it, so I wanted to switch it out for this Brillo pad style disc. I don't know if this is the right one, but I wanted to go for something like this or a sanding disc. So that way I could kind of clean up the rest of the Bondo and paint that's still there. So quick tip with using at least the Milwaukee right angle die grinder. So when you go to swap out your attachment, what a lot of people will do is, you take your 2 wrenches that they gave you and you break it loose and you loosen it up by hand and you try to pull it out and it's just not going anywhere. It's actually a safety feature. You actually have to break it loose a second time, and once you do that, it'll pop right out. So I don't know if I would have figured that out if I didn't see a YouTube video on it myself. I just saw that watching some tool reviews because that's what I do with my free time. Saved me a lot of headache, and I believe at least one other person I told about that didn't know about it. So hopefully that helps some people. Let's give this one a test and try cleaning this up here. All right, so I'm fast forwarding a little bit because the camera was not playing nice with me. So got this cleaned up, ended up taking off the rest of the glue using that Brillo pad because the blade wasn't working out too well. I'm gonna get the quarter panel back on the car just so that way it can sit and won't flex too much. You can see that the way that I've been storing it might be producing some of that bends that I'm talking about in the wrong direction. So just gonna pop it back on real quick and we'll come back to it tomorrow. Downtown in an earlier round, and sugar, we're going down swinging. I'll be a #1 with the bullet. A loaded God complex, cock it and pull it.